Hello and welcome to the Vital Redpill. Long time ago I had finished one of life's big stepstones and had some free time. So I finally wanted to research the alien and esoteric things, to find the flaws in them, to debunk them. I mean, I heard so many times that they all just want to sell you their snake oil and crystals and magic powder and whatever. And those that claim to be fortune tellers, well, all they do is just abuse the psychological weaknesses of every human. They trick you because you want to be tricked. So, statistically speaking, it's nearly impossible that they could predict many future events. I mean, it's impossible to be true, right? Right? I was shocked to realize how countless people who are totally unrelated to each other were talking about the same things and using the same vocabulary. If it all would be fake and made up, then it's nearly impossible for that to happen, as they were all talking the same language, and having the same views on certain things, and explaining things in the very same way. That had piqued my curiosity, as it was my initial goal to debunk it all. Long story short, it's real. Most of it. Maybe. Potentially. Well, most certainly. For sure. Right? Or is it? Of course it is all just fake. Well, actually, it's up to yourself to decide. For this reason, I have prepared you all the good YouTube channels and other spiritual sources that I have watched in the last years. Oh boy, and I thought it's gonna be a quick video. So, let's begin with the list. A pastebin link is in the channel's description, where you can find the links to all the channels mentioned here. In the very beginning, I stuck to German YouTube channels such as Bewusst TV, and they had this one thing called Tagesenergien. It was quite interesting, as back then there was not as much content on YouTube as it is now. But then I went to English sources also. The very first channel I would like to recommend to you is the channel Spiritual Awakening with Nikki Sutton. It has a lot of content and gives a very good general overview over most topics. You can just search for anything and you will most likely find a related video. She's nice and calm and kind and explains things in a proper way. Very good for absolute beginners. Then there's Infinite Waters Diving Deep. This guy is, he's very funny. No, he's very high energy. All his videos are one takes and he's always smiling. But man, he's been doing it for so many years. And he already have 2 million subscribers. Maybe he just cannot stop doing the YouTube thing. Well, the next person I would like to show you is Kelly in the Raw. But her YouTube channel got recently deleted. She did not give up. She said it's actually been quite freeing for her. Because now she can say more than she could before. Because now she is not anymore employed by YouTube. So she can do and start her own endeavors and do other things, like cooking shows not on YouTube, or other type of content. So in a way, for some people, being kicked out of YouTube is a very good thing. The next lady I would like to show you is Pamela Erlin, the Avatar of Grace. She has many names. I've also found her quite early in my journey. She is pretty legit and everything she speaks of is quite well. The most interesting videos of her are the ones where she's channeling Tesla, Nikola Tesla, and where she also has one where she's channeling Hitler out of the grave. I think she maybe even have a new one by now. But in order to understand the Hitler video, you have to have a good grasp of all the spiritual principles and ideas, because otherwise it will not make much sense to you. Then, of course, speaking of channeled content, there's the book The Law of One. It's one of the most elementary books on spirituality by now, as it explains many things in great detail. I personally have read the whole book as a text-to-speech variant on YouTube. It's quite interesting and well made actually, and even has some type of plot progression. Yeah, some crazy hippies in the 70s have channeled it, and it's quite an interesting read, and a lot of the vocabulary used there is now commonly used everywhere in the spiritual communities. Then the next guy is Ryan Cropper. He was one of the few guys that I had found back then who seemed to be legit. I haven't watched him in years and just only today remembered his name, and also that's one of the reasons why I started this video. Nice to see that he is still strong and going. So, the video of him that I remember still the most was the one where he explains how he was a fetus in the belly of his mother, and how he perceived the world, and how he was planning his life till the age of 5, and then decided, no, and kicked it all back again, and started a new dream life, whatever. Yeah, interesting stuff that I have not heard like this in anywhere else. Then, the next lady is Alba Weinman. She does past life regression therapy. So she hypnotizes people and asks them to talk about their past lives. Interestingly, patterns appear. It seems that those people are telling the truth. Some of them talk about their life as a priestess in Atlantis, some talk about being a moon, some talk about other crazy things, being a slave, being a normal guy, being some famous person, and so on and so on. The interesting part here is that this past life regression is done under hypnosis. So it means that the people are not awake enough to fantasize everything, and if they were, they would most likely not always come to the same places. So it was proof for me that, wait a second, there's something going on here. It seems to be real. At least that's a very big piece of evidence for it all being real. Then, of course, related is one book, this one here, The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. The context is that in the 1970s also people did a lot of past life regression hypnosis. And they asked people questions like, where were you before you were born? What happened after you died in your previous life? Where did you go? What happened there? And then? Oh, and what is this and that? And they found out that people were always telling the same stories. Patterns emerged again. A whole system of past life, previous life, soul journey things were established and written down in the book. Keywords are soul plan, for example, where the soul seems to be planning where it shall travel next in its next life, as well as soul families, where groups of souls like to, well, enjoy this game we call life together. One life I'm your mother, the next life I'm your arch enemy, and the next life maybe you're my lover. Different relationships all the time, but still the same players in the background. Read that book if you want to know more about the soul's journey. Then the next channel is of course Spirit Science. The reason why I recommend it is because it has a lot of useful vocabulary and nice pictures. Is it all real? I don't know, I had some contradictory sources to it. But it's well made and looks nice, and at least it will teach you the vocabulary. And who knows, maybe it's real, or maybe some of it is real. It's up to you to decide. The next one I would recommend I didn't find. I think maybe it was Tom Thomason. It were videos with a very simple hand-drawn cartoon style, and I think the guy had a German accent. Hey, I found him! His name is Hans Wilhelm, and he is still on YouTube. He was very nice and he had a very nice voice. He was explaining spiritual topics in short videos like 1-3 minutes long. They were pretty old even back then. One video I still remember to this day was the video on the Lucifer experiment. According to him, in the universe, normally light is everywhere. Everything is connected to the light. But some people, a group of souls, wanted to test how it would be to live in a place without light. So, because almost everything is possible, only your imagination is the limit, they created a place in the universe without light. And this is where we are now. And the quick rundown is, it's maybe not so good. Then the next channel I would like to present is of course the Thunderbolts project. Because they showed me that, well, maybe something with our understanding of physics is not correct. On the Thunderbolts project I also saw a video of Eileen Day McCusick. She explains that she found the electromagnetic body surrounding our human flesh. It's round about 2 meters around us, or 8 bananas, or like 1 car. And this magnetic field seems to save all our memories and some other things. And she uses tuning forks, simple tuning forks, to pick things that are not in place and put them back into the place where they belong. And people really seem to feel the difference. Check her out if you think that she's interesting. Another video I would like to highly recommend to you is from Dr. Jerry Tennant, Healing is Voltage. It seems that he has almost figured it all out. The way the human body works, where are the battery packs, where do we get our power from, Why do tattoos interrupt the flow of energy in our body, as scars do also? And what role do teeth and toothache play in all of this? This talk is highly recommended to all of these who would like to improve their health, or learn more theories about how the body really works. Then, of course, you have to know about Morphogenetic Fields by Rupert Sheldrake. I think he had a TED Talk, and it was one of the few TED Talks that was banned from TED. Pretty interesting stuff. It seems that there's a type of information field surrounding us all at all times, and we can interact with it. And it seems that dogs can interact with it as well. Because dogs always knew when their daddy is coming back home, even though they couldn't smell him. So I think it was Rupert Sheldrake. They did some experiments. They let the dog owner come back at random times, but the dog always went to the door expecting the owner to come back, just minutes before he really came back. And then they thought, well, maybe it's the sound of the car, so they drove him back in a taxi, or in different cars, or let him walk back home. But the dog always knew, seemingly psychically knew, when his owner will come back. They tried all types of experiments. People took showers, people took perfumes, people tried everything. But the dog, seemingly like with magic, always knew when the real owner of him would come back home. And even a known skeptic tried to debunk this experiment, but he failed. And then, because he was convinced by the data, he was then expelled from the Skeptic Society. Yep, I think that's what happened. Then, speaking of fields, reality, as it seems, consists of fields. All your thoughts and ideas create a wish that is manifesting as an electromagnetic field, a field that is attracting that what you wish for. But be aware that you cannot not wish for something. If you wish not to be poor, then you will attract poorness to you. If you wish not to see a picture of Barack Obama, then you will attract seeing a picture of Barack Obama into your timeline. Keeping this concept of fields in mind, there's a very interesting niche channel. It's called Meta-Intent. Meta-Intent? Meta-Intent. I found it by accident because somebody shared it on Paul. It's very, very specific and interesting if you're into that stuff. Then, speaking of human fields and electromagnetic things, there is the book Psychic Sexuality, The Biopsychic Anatomy of Sexual Energies by Ingo Swann. That book is written by a psychic who explains how he sees the human sexuality take place, what type of unseen energetics are acting, even unseen energetic organs of the female and male gender. A very interesting book for those who want to know what's happening on different levels when we make love. Then, speaking of Ingo Swann was a very knowledgeable guy. He was the one who coined the term remote viewing. His life story is a very interesting one, and he has written many books. Most of them can be found for free online. So, take a look, read them all if you are interested in psychic phenomena and how it all started, because he explains the history of it all, starting with his own life story. But in other words, he also dives a few hundred years back into the history. Very legit, very smart guy, highly recommended. Speaking of highly recommended, there is the channel Thinking Aloud. It was a channel in the 1980s from the look. The guy who ran the channel is the only one who got the doctorate diploma in parapsychology. After he managed to get this diploma, the university closed this course, so he is worldwide the only one who got it. The good thing is he has a talk show where he invites guests, and the good thing here is he talks on a knowledgeable level with them. If somebody, for example, mentions remote viewing and reincarnation, then this host already knows all what is to know about it, because he has read book about it. He has interviewed thousands of people by now. It's very refreshing for the mind to have two people talk about highly spiritual and highly technical topics without the "wow, what really? No, I don't believe you" thing that we maybe would expect from Joe Rogan or somebody like that. Highly professional. Then, of course, speaking of remote viewing, there's the Farsight Institute. They are the ones who brought the remote viewing to the public in the YouTube channel. Check them out, they do a lot of stuff. And yeah, cat girls. Then, speaking of remote viewing, if you'd like to learn it, There is Technical Intuition. It is a YouTube channel and also I think company, and they teach remote viewing to people who are interested. And as it seems, you're lucky because just 1 week ago they released a video course, and their channel has been not active for quite a while. Then, intermission, I would like to recommend you Yatao Music. It's just a good handpan music from Germany. They're very relaxed, and maybe you have seen already some of his videos. The guy really loves making this type of music, and it shines, it's nice. Then, let's continue on the list. Now we go into some more technical, political, legal field. The next guy I would like to present to you is Alfred Raymond Weber. He has studied law, I think, in Oxford or one of the other big universities, and he is also involved in all types of crazy things. He has many interesting guests, and some of his videos are also in Spanish, if you're interested in that. He is very optimistic to the future. That's very nice. If you are interested in the legal aspects of the multiverse, then you can check out his book or some of his videos. He interviews many people, some of which are also targeted individuals. And speaking of targeted individuals, I would like to recommend you Dr. Catherine Horton and Stop 007. Dr. Horton is a targeted individual from Switzerland, and she's now living in near Germany. She is very heavily targeted by all the evil people, and she is also doing studies on targeted individuals. So if you're a targeted individual and would like to help her, you can contact her and she will give you a questionnaire and you can fill it out and she will add you to the study. Maybe she's still needing people, I don't know. She moved a lot of her content now to Patreon, and her content is mainly in German and English. Yeah, as they say, big if true. Then, speaking of targeted individuals, we also have this German gentleman, angeblich Terrorist. Some of his videos are in English. The one I like most was titled, I don't know if it's still up, was titled, How to Get Rid of Annoying Agents Who Are Watching You. His recommendation was to record some text-to-speech lines. Lines like, your mother loves you, why are you doing this job? You are meant to do greater in life than this. Make your parents proud. Go and find your life's path. This is not what you came out on the planet here to do. Why are you attacking this man? He has done nothing to you. Go and do something good now. And put it on loop. Because if you're a targeted individual, there are agents who are forced by law to listen to everything that is running on your computer or in your room. So they will be exposed to this. If you leave it running when you're going to sleep, then yeah, they will have some maybe life-changing thoughts in their sleep. And you can also use Google to auto-translate it into other languages if you don't know where your agent is coming from. Then a very, very old channel is Project Camelot. They were also into all types of interesting things, and they were inviting whistleblowers and people to talk and present their point of view there. The topics talked about there were the secret space program, the SSP, as well as super soldiers. Some of them came there and gave interview, as well as the usual suspects and New World Order things and so on and so on. So, what is a super soldier? A super soldier, just think about these two movies. It can be best described by the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell from the year 1998. Quite a good movie, by the way. And in regard of the training and breeding aspect of the soldiers. And the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats, regarding the psi or the spiritual aspect. The idea was, well, to create a super soldier who had the best possible DNA and upbringing, as well as the best psychic training as well. Yeah, and then these super soldiers were also involved in the SSP, in the secret space program. Now, researching this video, I found that there is a single channel who is only concentrated on super soldier talk. And from this channel I can recommend you this video. It's called Super Soldier Talk, Captain Randy Kramer, LOC Secret Space Disclosures. As this video contains most of the information that you need to know if you want to watch only one video. There, the guy explains how the secret space program works. It's a corporation, and there's a lot of red tape, because it's a military operation. If any of you were in the army or in any big bureaucratic organization, you know how the things are done, and it's no different in outer space. Very, very interesting stuff. If you want to have the full rundown of all the events, the channel just released a 4-hour summary of everything. That summary includes the Real Girls, the Nazi space program, American Operation High Jump, off-world bases, why Antarctica is off-limit to all normal countries, all the types of organizations and branches that are active in space, the Mars colonies and other colonies on other places, why there are so many slaves everywhere, time travel, parallel dimensions, all types of aliens, the moon and the moon bases, jump gates, think Stargate, and much more. The presentation starts at minute 6:30. Well, is it real? Well, that is for you to decide. And then there are also some channels that I don't like. Why? I don't like them because some people I just don't like the look of them, or because the words they speak do not resonate with me that well. For example, Bracha Goldsmith. She's channeling a lot, but I just personally don't like it. And then there's of course Sad Guru, but I think he's a little bit too, pardon my French, full of himself. He enjoys the position of guru and to tell people what they should do and what they should not do, but I think his point of view is a bit does not resonate well with mine. And then there's also Teal Swan. She's also quite famous, as it seems, but I just don't like the look of her, that's all. I prefer the other people, and that's why I make this video. Then there was a guy called Harmony. He was talking about the Mandela effect in some very specific ways. And he also recommended a lady called Aurora and her channel, the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. Aurora is, well, according to her, Aurora was one spirit that was flying through space in a collective of spirits. But then suddenly she was sucked into Earth. Because on Earth there was one person being tortured in a very unpleasant way, let's keep it at this, and the soul of that person had left the body. And Aurora then was somehow sucked into this vacuum. She then did something that she described as the Flying Rainbow Lasagna thing. She did something that, according to her, was never done in the whole history of creation. She did a certain move that allowed her to overcome all the problems that she had. And she explains all of this in her channel. It's a certain technique that involves positive emotions and can be used to manifest things. Also, she describes her story how, well, being literally an alien inside an adult's body was quite problematic for her, as she, for example, didn't know how to use the bus and who to trust and so on. So what she did was the most logical thing for her to do was to draw the things that she's drawing. You see, she drew all the spiritual context, all the spiritual principles with these paintings. And according to her, if somebody would see this, then of course they would understand that she's not from here or that she's a high-level spirit. But it didn't work out because, well, she's here on Earth. Yeah, so if you're looking for some crazy high-level stuff, then I can recommend Aurora to you. And also nice to see that she's doing well. Then, speaking of aliens you can listen to right now, there is of course the famous Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka. Bashar, according to Bashar, is a race of aliens. They look a little bit like Greys, but they are a mix of human DNA and some other DNAs. And they come from the future, and also from a different dimension. But they're here because they like to establish contact and help people out. And he's a very interesting, funny guy. I can recommend you him. Sadly, most of the videos of Bashar are behind the paywall, but the most important one is on the Bashar principle. I will link it here, if you want to know what Bashar is all about. Yeah, then we have the Quantum Businessman. This one was recommended to me by the channel Spiritual Awakening. It was quite a pleasant surprise, if I might say so. The Quantum Businessman is one business guy who is owning a big food distribution company who realized that the Mandela effect is literally impacting his business. And he decided to open his eyes to this and to investigate. And he found out that it's real. And he even taught all his staff about it so that they can better brief customers. If a customer is saying, hey, why do I only get 2 boxes of mango? I always order 5 boxes of mango. And then the stuff goes to the database and they realize, no, dear customer, we always only send you 2 boxes of mangoes. And then they realize, well, it's most likely a Mandela effect because our customer is right, and also many other things than they realized. And also this Quantum Businessman started the first Mandela Effect conference. It's quite good. Watch it if you want to know more about the Mandela Effect. And there I realized, wait a second, this quantum businessman is also interviewing a guy, and this guy is quite young, and I haven't seen him before. The name of the guy was Scene Bond. And Scene Bond also has his own YouTube channel. It's called Psionic League. There he talks about many things, and he is quite precise with his language at some times. So he's an interesting guy. Then one day I was looking for more on Bashar, and there was one guy who was channeling somebody from Bashar's race. Not Bashar himself, but somebody else. Like Bashar's sister, so to speak, or classmate. And this was also very good, and also for free, hey. And the channel is called Help Thyself. I can highly recommend this one. I will put two videos that I recommend most in the description. One I liked a lot was the channeling of a cat race. I think the proper name is Lyrans. He was telling how the Lyrans developed on a planet, and the planet was theirs, and they had it easier than we at the moment, so to say. And they developed technologically, spiritually, and one day they managed to go to space, and in space they encountered their first real enemy. And a very long, brutal war started, and the war was never ending, and they were fighting, and there was no end in sight. And then one day they realized that the only way to win this fight is not by fighting, but by going to the path of love. And they then went to the path of love. I don't know how exactly, maybe we could ask them. And they achieved peace with the people who they were fighting, and then they overcome this biggest struggle of their race. Yeah, quite interesting stuff. Then I realized that it was all a big accident, coincidence, because this guy from Help Thyself and the guy from the Psionic League, they were both invited by the quantum businessman. So yeah, it all comes around. And while looking for more interesting stuff, I found the Galactic historian. He was the teacher of Scene Bond, as far as I can tell. So by accident I stumbled upon the whole family. The Galactic historian talks about a lot of stuff. According to him, he is a, Galactic historian who managed to have a certain soul contract that allowed him to be born into Earth with a lot of memories. A shit ton of memories about a shit ton of places. I think it was something like 10,000 worlds, and he can access them all. The playlist I can recommend is the Galactic History playlist. It's 20 videos and they explain at least one point of view how everything here on Earth happened in the past, or in the multiple pasts, because time is confusing and time travel is real as it seems. Then we are getting close to the end of the list. There is Deed, I think that's how the way you pronounce it. This is a Mormon from United States as far as I can tell, or ex-Mormon, one of the two, I forgot, sorry. And she has also a lot of spiritual and channeling topics. For example, she was channeling a dead rap star, a very famous one, I forgot her name. And she was telling how it was like to be in this industry until she died. It was not pleasant. And she also has many other things, and some other things that I have only heard on her channel. For example, she was channeling I think it was Anunnaki or ancient giants. And it was interesting because the giants said, for example, yes, we took more than we needed and we killed more than we had to, because we could. So it seems only because you have better technology does not mean that you are spiritually more evolved. So yeah, interesting stuff. Diti also was channeling some reptilians, like reptilian elite people who are controlling Earth, and some of them were telling stuff like, it's so easy to control you, it's almost too easy, we wish you'd fight back more, and stuff like that. Yeah, interesting stuff. Then we have Abby Normal. She's a, cute girl, I would describe her, who is having her very own point of view on things. So if you want to see some things from a different perspective, you can see how she's channeling stuff. Then we have the latest guy, it's Ivan Teller, or Even Teller. He's channeling every day, and he's channeling like crazy. He's also channeling some other more politically interesting people and beings. You can check him out if you want to see a different perspective on things. Then we have, of course, Brad Johnson from New Earth Teachings. He was one of the first guys I found on YouTube, so he's an old player in this game. He is channeling Adronis, I think it's a human from the future, if I remember correctly. He is also doing a lot of general spiritual topics. Good guy, can recommend. Then, of course, there's Gigi Young. She's also doing a lot of interesting things. For example, this video here that I can recommend that started at the, beginning of the whole current big event. And then lastly, there's this very guilty pleasure of mine. Recently I saw a thumbnail like this. A beautiful girl and some spiritual text. And I clicked on it and it's supposedly channeled messages from the Pleiadians. And they start pretty cool, like, hello, I am name here, and I'm the commander of the 33rd Pleiadian Crystal Fleet, and I have a message for you and humanity. Sounds pretty cool. And yeah, some of them are really good because they talk about all the spiritual concepts. And sometimes it feels like I'm listening to myself. Because, for example, lately, there was a video where she was also talking about the concept of be the lighthouse. That you have to be the lighthouse who brings light into this world. Something that I have done in a video a few months ago. Yeah, so that's the list. If you have anything to add, then write it down in the comments. And I will do now and go and edit this very long audio take. And, as always, find your life's path and take action. Vital Redpill out.